In this video, I'm gonna teach you everything that you needed or wanted to know about paint protection film. If you're crazy like me and you got a new car and you don't like looking at scratches or swirls and you wanna keep your car looking as new for as long as possible, then this video is for you. We're gonna be wrapping my new Tesla Model 3 in paint protection film.
We Gucci gang? You can hear me?
Action!
Does it look weird if I look up?
One more time.
One more time. Maybe write it. I don't like it.
Paint protection film is the best way to protect your car. But what is it? What does it protect from? How long does it last? How do you maintain it? And how much does it cost? In this video, I'm gonna answer all your questions you may have about paint protection film. So let's get to it. All right, we've prepped the car. It's polished, it's clean, it's ready to go. They're taking some parts off the car so we can install this. This is paint protection film. It is a physical film that we put on the car's paint to protect from rock chips, scuffing, any damage or debris on the roadway, bug splatter. This is what's going to protect the paint. It is a different layer. This is actually a thermoplastic urethane material with lots of different layers to it. It actually comes on a backing layer here. And as soon as you pull this backing layer off, you have an adhesive. This is what actually sticks to the car. You have the plastic layer, and then you actually have a top coat layer. The top coat layer on this particular film, this is XPEL paint protection film. This layer is self-healing. So that's the big advantage of putting this on your car. Now you have this physical barrier that's gonna absorb rock chips and it's not gonna chip away paint, and it's self-healing. So if you don't like scratches or swirls, you don't have to deal with them anymore. It's very easy to maintain, and it's gonna look great. So once the guys have everything prepped and all the parts off the car, we're actually going to install the film on the Tesla. All right, the guys are taking off the trim panels. They took off the mirrors and they're gonna take off these side markers. They're gonna take off some things on the car just to make a better install. Now there's a couple different ways that you can install paint protection film. One is with a pre-cut kit where you plot the kit out and then you can put it, say this fender here, and you'll put the film on and you'll see the edges. You'll go right to the edge of all the panels here. And it's pretty easy, it's a lot faster, but what you have is exposed edges, which can peel back, or they can build up dirt and waxes and other stuff, and it doesn't look very nice. So what we wanna do is we wanna make the install invisible. So we're gonna take and we're gonna custom cut the edges, we're gonna extend them all, so we're gonna wrap all the edges. We can wrap the edges on the fender, we can wrap the edges on the bottom where the wheel well is here, all these trim pieces here, we can actually wrap it up and in, so you get a seamless install. It looks absolutely invisible, and then you don't have those exposed edges. It's just gonna look a lot nicer. It takes a little more time to do the install this way, but the quality of the install is so much better.
So you guys have seen all the prep work that leads up to applying paint protection film. Now I'm going to break it down into simple steps, starting with modifying and cutting out the kits. There are three main types of installs for PPF. The conventional route, which is bulk install. That's where you take a giant piece of film, put it on the car, stretch here, stretch there, mold it to what the shape of the car is. The only downfall to that is that you have to start cutting. You have to cut out the shape of the fender or the door or a bumper. Kind of dangerous just because you can penetrate the film and then actually cut the paint of the car. There's a second way to do it, which is just a regular way, just like a plotted kit. You can get a software that prints out the car. Just type in the name, type in the year, the make and model, and then it'll print out a little template of the actual vehicle. You can take that, print it out on your plotter, put it on your car, and then that looks fantastic too. The only reason we don't do that is because You don't get wrapped edges, you don't get wrapped corners, you just get a basic, really basic install. The third way to do it, which is I think is the best way, is you get your software, you get a kit, and then you modify that kit. So once you can start modifying, you can really start extending edges, corners, you can add film here, you can add film there, so you can manipulate the film correctly, so you can maneuver around corners, edges, valleys. You can do so much more by doing it this way. The benefits of doing it this way also include, you're gonna have like no seams, no lines on the edges, you're gonna have almost zero distortion, and you get maximum coverage around every panel. So let's hop into this. This is XPEL's software. It's called DAP. DAP. Let's get started. Let's look at what we can do on this little bad boy. So here's where you can type in whatever car you have. Jason has a 2021 Tesla Model 3. So we're gonna search that up. Let's maximize this window. And here's the beauty of having a software that gives you every kit. So we have an 8-pillar kit, a bumper, full hood, emblem, headlights, interior kits, luggage. We have so many options that we could choose from. Rear bumper, rockers, everything that we could think of, it's right here. That's the beauty of having a software like this. I already have saved kits for all my bumpers and my fenders and my hoods. Every car that we do a lot of, it makes sense to just pull it up, modify it, save it, saves us so much time moving forward. So let's pick out a front bumper, and then boom, Jason's front bumper pops up. Here it is. We are gonna modify the effing crap out of this thing. So we're gonna remove all these sensors, we're gonna remove the tow hook, and then we're gonna extend a couple edges here and there where I know we can get maximum coverage and wrap around these edges. So let's go ahead and do a little magic. So normally people would stop here, right? Like, this looks great. But here at Chicago Auto Pros, we like to be a little crazy and OCD. And I'm actually gonna come in and even go 1% more. And I'm gonna start modifying these corners, just because I know I can get more coverage than what I think I can. So now that we finished modifying all the kits, I'm gonna send it through the plotter. This is a GrafTech FC9000, top of the line plotter. It's fantastic. I'm gonna go ahead and send it, and we're gonna take a look at it cutting a front bumper out. So we gave you a little taste of what goes down before applying PPF. There's a lot of methods and techniques that other installers like to practice, some good, some bad. Let me show you what we like to do here at Chicago Auto Pros. But first, an Eman's pro tip. The most important thing when installing PPF is the prep work. You want to make sure that this paint is perfect. So if you have little imperfections in the paint, you either want to wet sand them, you want to polish them, you want to correct them, you want to make this paint perfect before applying that PPF. The reason why is because that PPF is going to magnify anything that's already on your paint. Like, let's say you have a little dust nip or a little rock chip. That film it's either going to make a little hill on that little imperfection, or it's going to cause a little dip in that imperfection. And the PPF is just going to magnify that 100%. So if it looks a little bit ugly on your car right now, once you put that film on, it's gonna look 3 times as worse. That's why it's so important to correct the paint, fill in any rock chips, wet sand any imperfections that are already on your paint, so it comes out perfect.
Before the guys actually get into installing the film, let's talk about how much this costs. What is this gonna cost to get done on your vehicle? As we already talked about, there are different types of installation methods that you can do on your vehicle. On top of that, we have different types of films, we have different thicknesses of films, and then we have different types of top coats. And last but not least, we have different skill levels. The skill level and the passion of the installer putting the film on the car is gonna greatly affect the final result of the film. And then you have the size, the complexity of the car, and how much coverage you're actually gonna get done on the vehicle. All these things are gonna affect what the final price is. Now, most of the customers that we see want the high impact areas done. That's the full front bumper, the fenders, the hood, and the mirror. And we all know that cars are different sizes. A Mazda Miata is a much different car than a Ford Raptor. So if you're getting these high impact areas done with all the variables that we just mentioned, you can expect to pay anywhere from $1,400 to $2,500. You can reduce that price a little bit by doing a partial kit, which is the full front bumper, and then we just do half the hood and half the fenders. You can save a few $100 there, but then you're gonna have a seam or a line down that middle of the hood and the fenders. You can start adding stuff on like the rocker panels or the back luggage area or the back bumper. You can even do the full car. If you're gonna do the full car in paint protection film, you can expect to pay anywhere from $6,000 to $10,000 plus.
So what we're doing here is we're weeding out the excess film from the plotter. Once we weed out all this extra film, it'll show us the plotted kit that we just modified. So this right here is the fender. Let's put this bad girl on. I'm just gonna check it for imperfections. Sometimes the film comes in and it has very minor things like pitting or little scratches, or like ideally when we go and install film, we want it to look like OEM paint. If the film itself is scratched or has little imperfections in it, obviously you're gonna see it a lot more once you actually put it on the paint. So we wanna check it right before we install it, and then once we know it's perfect, let's go, let's put it on.
Nowadays, nothing really excites me. Only one of me and nobody's like me. Phone ringing and I tell him it's ice. I got wifey on bling and she freeze. Photo, please, no photos. No, G's, no, please, no photos. Hit the door and the doorman just whole team here might need some. Still young, but I move like a new deal to my lawyer. If it down in my management.
So what we have here is we have a mixture of soap and water. The main reason why we like to use soap and water for a mixture is just so we can maneuver the film wherever we need. See how I can slide it back and forth? I can adjust it here, I can adjust it there, just so I can get perfect placement on this modified kit that we just adjusted. This allows us to really play with it and get the maximum amount of coverage without it getting stuck or having the least distortion. Applying PBF is very, very difficult. It takes a lot of time and a lot of practice to really get good at it. There's a lot of installers, there's a lot of different methods, there's a lot of different ways to get from point A to point B. And it really comes down to the installer and how proficient he is, how technically correct he wants to be. There's a lot that goes into this.
Only one of me and nobody's like me. Phone ringing and I tell him it's ice. I got wifey on bling and she freeze. Photo, please, no photos. No, G's, no, please, no photos.
Did you ever watch Bob Ross growing up?
Yeah.
So when I do this, I feel like Bob Ross.
Everything just sort of pops out at you. It brings it alive. The shadows are very important.
So now that the fender's installed, we're gonna do what we like to do here and be a little extra. So now you see all this extra film right here. So we're gonna wrap the front edge of the fender. we're gonna wrap the back edge of the fender. This top piece that goes into the pillar, we're gonna wrap that. Into the hood gets wrapped. There's gonna be places where you can't wrap, like around this headlight. Behind there's no real edge for the film to grab onto, and there's what we noticed on these Teslas that the back side of it isn't even painted, so we can't wrap the back of that. But it's not a big deal. We just have to line up this piece right here, make it look really flush, and the film is pretty much invisible. Also, now that we're done, now we're gonna inspect it and make sure that it actually came out perfect. So we're gonna look for little small pieces of dirt, imperfections, anything that the regular eye can't see, but I'm gonna catch. And this fender looks fantastic. I don't really see any type of dirt or distortion. So to me, this thing is freaking badass. Jason's gonna love this. We can go ahead and start finishing all these edges. Over the top, 100% what we're all about. Beautiful. Hell yeah.
What are you doing?
I'm getting all the lint off my hat and off my sweater. That way I minimize any contamination that might fly under the film while I'm working. Now we're ready.
Like almost gave it. All this shit I'm laying, and it's only the foundation. I've been going crazy, just trying to find a way. I was in the basement.
All right, so we're doing something a little bit special for Jason, and we're going to be installing XPEL's 10 mil film. This is a film that is slightly thicker from the 8 mil film that we normally use. XPEL Ultimate Plus is 8 mils thick, and what we're putting on is 10 mils. This is going to be more beneficial for higher impact, more rock chips. It also looks slightly clearer when you stretch it enough and properly install it. Some downfalls from this is just the way it installs. It's slightly thicker, so it does make it harder to install. It does make it harder to look cleaner. When you have a seam anywhere, it shows that seam a lot more. But overall, this is just a much better product if for a daily or a high impact area like this front bumper.
Only like you when I'm lonely. Got me looking in the mirror for the self-diagnosis. Feel like they villainize me for they ever get to know me. They tell me that you need me, then your action didn't show it. Knowing that you play the angles, and I'm seeing through your motives.
So there is white dirt.
Where you pointed out?
It's right.
Hold on, let me get this. Oh, yeah. What is that?
So it's a rare phenomenon. White dirt.
White dirt.
We don't know what it is.
And I'm gonna be rich because I'm the only person on earth who knows where you can find white mud.
We're gonna find out what it is. It could be anything. It could be lint, it could be a small piece of like the ceiling or some dust. Yeah, there's so many things that can go wrong. So it's not even white. So it's actually gray.
So you're picking that out?
Yeah. So it's the smallest speck of, I don't know if you can see that, right in my nail. It's actually like a gray particle. But when it goes under the film, somehow it transforms into white.
Okay. So you just picked it out of the film?
Yeah, just picked it out. Now we're gonna lay it back down.
Alright. And it's gone. No more speck?
I just have to clean up the little residue that it left behind.
Uh-huh.
But I got the main piece out, the rest is easy.
And that'll all kind of lay down as it cures?
Mm-hmm. It'll all look perfect once it cures.
You're the best.
Talk to me like that. It was right here. That's where it used to be.
All gone.
All gone.
You know, the best time to wrap your vehicle is when you get it new. I didn't do that. I drove it around. I had a little fun with it. We took a couple pulls on it to see how fast this baby was. But I got a few rock chips, and this is what a rock chip looks like. Just a little indentation. Kind of looks like a particle or a speck or debris. Kind of very similar, but that is an actual rock chip because we pointed that out, or we knew about it before we actually put the film on. So. Not much you can do about that. You can touch up rock chips a little bit if they're really big and deep, and you can put a little paint in there just to make it look, match the paint. But if you have an uneven surface and you put film over it, it kind of accentuates that unlevelness there, and you'll see the difference. That actually you'll see it a little more than you would if the film wasn't there. Alpha, what do you think of Dad's new car? You like the car, Alpha? Because you can't go in it. Are you sad about that? Are you sad that you can't go in Dad's car? I'm sorry, but you're a dog. And there's white seats. All right, the guys just got done wrapping the entire car in paint protection film. It looks gorgeous. We have some other things to do it. We're gonna ceramic coat it. We gotta do the windows, we gotta do the wheels. But first, I wanna show you, demonstrate the self-healing properties of this film. This is why I love this film so much, because I don't have to worry about scratches or swirl marks. I know it's gonna look great every single day. This is a wire brush. We're gonna wire brush the front here. And then I'm gonna show you how it self-heals. Like normally it self-heals out in the sun. It self-heals with heat. But we're in Chicago, it's cold, it's the middle of the winter, so we're gonna use a heat gun and I'll show you guys how it works. We're gonna clean this front hood off first. We all know scratch is gonna happen if you're wiping the snow off your car with a brush or improper washes, whatnot. You can get scratches and swirls. What's nice about the self-healing film, I'll show you. So we're just gonna scratch this. Ready? All right, you see the scratches? Those are some pretty deep scratches by a wire brush. And I'm gonna show you how this works. I went too deep on that one. All right, you can see the before and after. All the scratches have disappeared except for one of them. We went a little too deep on one of them. You can see the difference here though, so come on in and take a look at the afterwards after. See, we have one deeper scratch there. My car is now fully protected in paint protection film. It looks great with proper maintenance and care. This is gonna last 10 plus years. After that, I can take off the film and I have brand new, like new paint underneath. If you guys have any questions, please drop them in the comment section down below. I hope you enjoyed the video and you learned something. Now it's time to protect the interior.